Daisy took her face in her hands as if feeling its lovely shape, and her eyes moved gradually out into the velvet dusk. I saw that turbulent emotions possessed her, so I asked what I thought would be some sedative questions about her little girl.
We don't know each other very well, Nick. Even though we may be cousins, you didn't come to my wedding.
Evidently, she had reason to be. I waited, but she didn't say any more, and after a moment I returned rather feebly to the subject of her daughter.
I suppose she talks and eats and everything.
Oh yes. Listen, Nick. Let me tell you what I said when she was born. Would you like to hear?
Very much.
Well, it'll show you how I've gotten to feel about things. Well, she was less than an hour old and Tom was God knows where. When I woke out of the ether with an utterly abandoned feeling, I asked the nurse right away if it was a boy or a girl. She told me that it was a girl, so I turned my head away and wept. All right, I said. I'm glad it's a girl. I hope she's the foo. A beautiful little foo. That's the best thing a girl can be.
Oh yes, I understand you went to Oxford.
Yes, I went there. A pause. Then Tom's voice, incredulous and insulting.
You must have gone there about the time Biloxi went to New Haven.
Another pause. A waiter knocked and came in with crushed mint, but the silence was unbroken by his thank you, and the soft closing of the door. His tremendous detail was to be cleared up at last.
I told you, I went there. I heard you, but I'd like to know when.
It was in 1919. I only stayed 5 months, and that's why I can't really call myself an Oxford man. Tom glanced around to see if we mirrored his unbelief, but we were all looking at Gatsby. It was an opportunity they gave to some of the officers after the armistice. We could go to any of the universities in England or France. I wanted to get up and slap him on the back. I had one of those renewals of complete faith in him that I had experienced before.
Open the whiskey, Tom. I'll make you a mint julep. Then you won't seem so stupid yourself. Look at the mint.
Wait a minute. I want to ask Mr. Gatsby one more question.
Go on.
What kind of a row are you trying to cause in my house anyhow?
He's not causing a row. You're causing a row. Please have a little self-control.
Self-control? I suppose the latest thing is for me to sit back and let Mr. Nobody from nowhere make love to your wife. Well, if that's the idea, you can count me out. Nowadays, people begin by snaring at family life and family institutions, and next they'll be throwing everything overboard and have intermarriage between blacks and whites.
We're all white here. We're all white here.
I know I'm not very popular. I don't get to throw big parties, but I suppose in the modern world you have to turn your house into a pigsty in order to be liked.
Angry as I was, as we all were, I was tempted to laugh whenever he opened his mouth. The transition from libertine to prig was so complete.
I've got something to tell you, old sport.
Please don't. Please. Why don't we all go home? Let's all go home.
That's a good idea. Come on, Tom. Nobody wants to drink.
I want to hear what Mr. Gatsby has to tell me.
Your wife doesn't love you. She's never loved you. She loves me.
You must be crazy!
She never loved you. Do you hear? She only married you because I was poor and she was tired of waiting for me. It was a terrible mistake. But in her heart, she never loved anyone except me.
Sit down, Daisy. What's been going on? I want to hear all about it.
I told you what's been going on. Going on for 5 years now. And you didn't know about it.
You've been seeing this fella for 5 years?
Not seeing. No, we couldn't meet. But both of us loved each other all the time, old sport. And you didn't know. I used to laugh sometimes. To think that you didn't know.
Oh, that's all? You're crazy. I can't speak about what happened 5 years ago because I didn't know Daisy then. And I'll be damned if I see how you got within a mile of her unless you brought groceries to the back door. but all the rest of that is a goddamned lie. Daisy loved me when she married me, and now she loves me now.
No.
She does, though. The trouble is that sometimes she gets the foolish idea in her head that she doesn't know what she's doing. And what's more, I love Daisy too. In a while, I go off on a spree and make a fool of myself, but I always come back. In my heart, I love her all the time.
You're revolting. Do you know why we left Chicago? I'm surprised they didn't tell you the story of that little spree.
Daisy, that's all over now. It doesn't matter anymore. Just tell him the truth that you never loved him. And it's all wiped out forever.
Why, how could I love him? Possibly. I never loved him.
Not at Capiolani.
No.
Not that day I carried you down from the punch bowl to keep your shoes dry. Daisy.
Please don't. There, Jay. Oh, you want too much. I love you now. Isn't that enough? I can't help what's past. I did love him once, but I love you now. Isn't that enough?
You loved me too?
Even that's a lie. She didn't even know you were alive.
I went to speak to Daisy alone. She's all excited now.
Even alone, I can't say I never loved Tom. It wouldn't be true. Even alone, I can't say I never loved Tom. It wouldn't be true.
Of course it wouldn't.
As if it mattered to you.
Of course it matters. I'm going to take better care of you now.
You don't understand. You're not going to be taking care of her anymore.
Why is that?
Daisy's leaving you.
Nonsense.
I am, though.
She's not leaving me. Certainly not for a common swindler who'd have to steal a ring he put on her finger.
I won't stand for this. Please, let's go.
You can suit yourself about that, old sport.
I found out about his drugstores. He and this Wolfsheim guy brought up a lot of side street drugstores here in the Chicago and sold grain alcohol over the counter. That's one of his little stunts. I picked him for a bootlegger the first time I saw him, and I wasn't wrong.
What about it? I guess your friend Walter Chase wasn't too proud about coming in on it.
And you left him in the lurch, didn't you? You let him go to jail for a month over in New Jersey. God, you ought to hear Walter on the subject of you.
He came to us dead broke and was happy to pick up some money, old sport.
The drugstore business was just small change. You've got something on with Walter now that Walter's... okay. The drugstore business is just small change, but you've got something on now that Walter's afraid to tell me about.
Please, Tom. I can't stand this anymore.
You two start on home, Daisy, in Mr. Gatsby's car. Go on. He won't annoy you. I think he realizes that his presumptuous little flirtation is over. Want any of this, Nick? Jordan?
What?
Want any?
You know, I just remembered something. It's my birthday today.